can I say? Good show coming your way once again, as usual. Nana Osagifo in the hot seat. And I'm so glad to have my panelists also ready for this big show, as usual, talking about the diaspora and the Pan African world. Yes, sir, I've got my G hanging in the wings there, and the beautiful lady herself, Obapa Julie, also hanging in the wings there. I'll be introducing them very shortly. But then let me also advise you, for the benefit of our audiences worldwide who love to join us and be part of this big program, to like, share, subscribe as usual. Okay, this is one of the biggest medium for the voiceless and of course those unrepresented. Let me go straight and welcome G. Of course, G. Once again, welcome to the biggest show on earth.
Yeah, man. Bless up.
How's it going?
Nice to be here, brother.
So how was your day? I mean, as a Londoner, you know, we know how it goes over here. Are you feeling the vibes over there, G?
Yes, how you mean? I'm very much enjoying Accra at the moment. Yeah, and it's good to be coming to you live from Accra.
Yes. Yeah. Great. Yeah, G. And this particular segment of the show, I want to actually look at the emergency services. The reason why I want to do that, so that we wouldn't digress too much. Many a time, we do the headlines, the news across the globe, all the noises, but we tend to neglect the emergency services back in the motherland. We had a breaking news. The breaking news is that last night there was an incident where the incident had a nurse who had got a nurse with 3 children got burnt by fire overnight. Where people tried to call the emergency services, they had to tell them, well, the emergency services don't have any car available or petrol available, and yet we have the previous president or the previous government showcasing hundreds and hundreds of ambulances that they bought brand new and shipped into the country. And here we have an incident in one of the biggest regions in Ghana, that is the Ashanti region in Kumasi, and a lady nurse perished with her 3 children because of fire. And so we'll be looking at the emergency services. And then I want us to look at the ambulance service as well as part of the emergency services. This deplorable emergency services in that part of the world. I want us to look at it. Sometimes I'm not saying we're going to be taking the developed or the Western country economic, or should I say the economic hitman attitude in dealing with the economy, and it's, you know, the wealth between the poor and the rich is so large and so huge. I'm not going to go there tonight. We want to look at the emergency service and how can we get it working effectively. So let me go straight away with that back story where the lady died because of an overnight fire. And then another story that I picked up earlier, there was this military woman. She's in the Ghana Armed Forces. She had left the job, going home, and then just had an accident with a Bolt driver. And apparently she nearly lost her life. She's been taken to the 37 military hospital. And as a military woman, I expect that hospital to have one of the best facilities. Unfortunately, they needed an ambulance to transfer to go and have a scan somewhere. I may be surprised if 37 military hospital don't have a scan facility. And the ambulance, I was still the whole day, they've been waiting. Ambulance gonna turn up. The ambulance never turned up. What was the reason? We were told that no vehicle was available. This is deplorable. So, G, once again, those two backstories, and I want us to look at the emergency uh, 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 facilities in that part of the world. They are human beings like us. Why should we be in a developed world and they back home in the motherland and they do not have the basic amenity in terms of emergency service, fire, ambulance, coast guard, all those areas of emergency services in terms of policing? Why can't the police as an emergency service be there first sound like when we call 911 over here in the UK? I don't know the experience you've got there so far with your short stay there. Before we take the story on, have you kind of like got any friends around you or family members around you or any experience regarding these emergency services lack of performances?
Not really. I've not actually looked into the emergency services and to how fast or slow they respond, to be honest with you. But there is an issue in Africa anyway, where if there's going to be a fire in a house, the odds are that the person who's going to be in the house is going to perish.
Right.
And that is mainly due to most African houses, or most houses in Africa, have bars at their windows. Yeah, so there's only one escape route, it's for the front door. And if that is blocked, you have no other way out.
Yes. Okay, so my issue is those of us who are a bit enlightened, how do we take this issue straight to the doorstep of the presidency, who had just been, of course, ushered into office barely a month? So basically, you cannot blame him too much. But then, is he going to put the changes in place? So let's just interact and look at it this way. Why should the monies that can get those facilities, I'm talking about the cars, the fire trucks, the ambulance cars, why is that particular part of the world always short of the basic facilities of the vehicles, let alone the human resource part and the capacity to run it effectively? I mean, where does the money go? And here, when it's election time, we see them parading and showcasing these vehicles. And it happened in the last government before this one was ushered in. We were told there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ambulance cars that have come into the country and that the health service is going to be one of a kind. Here we have an incident. They can't even have an ambulance car to pick that. So, G, how can we look at this and how can we effectively find holistic solutions to solving this problem once and for all?
I actually feel that in each area there should be a fire engine, and there should be ambulances and ambulance ports, not so much at the hospitals, but in England you've got certain places where they keep ambulances, and then not necessarily at the hospital, in different places. You have to cover the city. You have to have places, you have to look at the city as a grid, okay, and place your ambulance services and your fire services in a way that it can cover the different areas. At the moment, I don't see that. Since I've been there, I've actually never seen a fire engine. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think I've seen an ambulance either. I've seen police, but you see police all the time because they put up checkpoints.
I see.
Yeah, or collection points, as I call them. I like to call them collection points.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you don't actually see fire engine. I've never seen a fire engine. I've been here for now going on to 3 weeks. And in that 3 weeks, I've not seen a fire engine at all whatsoever. And I've not seen any ambulances.
Yeah.
So if they are here, I personally wouldn't even know where to find an ambulance or a fire engine.
Yeah. I'm also of the view that some of these clips and shows that we do will reach the doorstep of the authorities, including us personally posting it to them as well, because we cannot just sit back and allow such a deplorable situation to be happening. This is a lady nurse with her 3 children asleep and a fire. And you know what is very disturbing? There was one lady that wakes up early to do a kenke facility in the area that the fire happened. And she woke up around about 4 a.m. to try and do a kenke to sell in the morning. And there was no fire. So she went about her business. But then later, she saw smoke coming out. So she raised her alarm. So when people got up and tried to help, you know, were no emergency services. The windows, I understand. I've got this metal stuff. So
that's right.
Exactly. And when they broke the door down, I think the oxygen went in there and it just blew, you know.
Yeah, because oxygen is what fire needs for it to grow.
Yes.
So the minute in a closed room, it's a vacuum. But the minute you allow air in there, okay, right, it's gonna have a flashover. The air's going to ignite the fire even more. So
yes.
Yeah, that would happen.
Yeah. So probably our program and this flagship might be the leading program that will challenge the authorities in that part of the world to take emergency services seriously. Because let me just read a bit of a script from here. To run emergency services effectively, we need a well-coordinated system, which is required. We need trained personnel, which is true. We also need a well-maintained equipment, efficient communication networks, clear protocols for responding to different emergency situations, and a robust training programs and a strong community engagement to ensure and to also minimize the risk and prevention and all that. So I don't think that part of the world has this in place. And if they have it in place, I don't think it's working. Yeah, go on, G.
If they have it in place, I don't think anybody knows about it. They don't do enough over here to promote the emergency services.
Right. Yeah. So looking at these issues that I want us to focus on, the emergency services, we've got a fire equipment, I mean, negligible, I would say. So this lady has lost her own life and the 3 children. Very, very sad. It was a bit emotional. That's why I wanted us to look at it, because many a time these fires happen in that part of the world and people just, you know, try, you know, cry after the incident, weep and go and mourn and go that they are red and black clothes for mourning, and then they don't do anything about it, you know. So it's imperative that we can raise and bring this issue to the fore. With the ambulance one, I was really, really also saddened. This is a young military officer, a military lady, you know, finished work, going home, and the car that she sat in got into an accident. She was rushed to the Ghana Military Hospital, which is called 37 Military Hospital. And there were drips, they were taking good care of her. I saw a picture that was sent to me, neck was put in a casket, or POP, whatever. And then they needed an ambulance to ferry her to go and get this, what we call a scan. Yeah. And I'm a bit shocked and surprised. I can see my learned colleague, Teddy, joining us. Let me welcome Teddy to the show. Teddy, welcome. And we are grateful to
you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so Teddy, on this particular segment, we're not going to be talking about the politics and economic issues, but I think it's still linked with economics and politics, because it deals with the administrative wing, which is the executive wing of the 3 arms of governance. I mean, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. I want us to look at the executive performance when it comes to emergency services. I gave an earlier backdrop to the story where there was a lady nurse in Kumasi, Ashanti region, and this lady nurse apparently lost her life, including her 3 children, overnight when there was a small fire, and then later I heard the fire actually became bigger. No emergency services, nothing, and the alarm was raised. Fortunately for the lady, I would say fortunately, because there was a lady who saw the smoke earlier. When she woke up about 4 o'clock, there was no smoke. Later, when she went about doing a kinky stuff, tried to sell it in the morning, she realized that there was a smoke coming from the lady's room. She rushed there, called the whole, you know how most African compounds are, raised alarm, men came out, they tried to break the window. The window is metallic, they couldn't break it, they had to break the door, and the door rather escalated the fire, which some of us know that to eliminate fire, sometimes you need to take the oxygen, the fuel, and all that kind of thing, you know. So my issue is that what can we do to enhance our emergency services back home in the motherland? That is the analysis and the holistic solution we are looking for to address this predicament once and for all. So, Teddy, that's the backdrop of the story when it comes to the fire. Then I had another story which was sent to me, and it was a bit sad. This is a military lady. She's an officer, a woman, young woman. You know, I don't think she's even hit the 30s yet. And she had finished work as an army officer, going home, and the car that she was in, which I understand was a Bolt car, got into an accident, a serious accident. She could have lost her life. She was rushed to the 37 military hospital, which you and I know that is one of the best hospitals in Ghana that belongs to the military. So the best should be expected from them. She got to the hospital. Of course, the neck was put in a casket or whatever. She's been taken good care of. I could see the pictures and videos of her. I could see all the intravenous thing going through back and forth. But then they needed to scan her and understand that they wanted to transfer her to another hospital or something like that. They've waited since morning, no ambulance. And I was so shocked. I couldn't believe that as a country, you know, our emergency services are so poor to the extent that basic performances and basic things cannot be done. And so I want us to look at the fire, what we can do to improve on the Ghana fire service, the Ghana ambulance, the policing, which is part of the emergency services, the Coast Guards, because Ghanaians love the sea. And I'm sure my good friend G went to Ghana and went to the seaside because they love the seaside.
I've been to a single Coast Guard.
Yes. So tell me,
identify as somebody who could help anybody if they was in trouble in the water.
Yes. So Teddy, that's the backdrop, and I want to take your take on it. But let's look at it individually. Individual emergency service, and then we look at the whole thing, and then we try and find solutions, because you and I know that in England here, or the UK, or the developed world or countries, you just dial 999. They've got to respond within a certain minutes. If the fire service or the ambulance or this policing do not report or get a response to where the call came from within a certain minutes, that means they've gone outside their performance, this thing, and they get into trouble. Okay, so whoever is leading that outfit has to be reprimanded or has to be taken off, and a new person take the position who can run it effectively. So this is the backdrop to what we are discussing on this particular show. So, Teddy, what do you think we can do? Because it's deplorable, very sad.
Well, the first thing, can you hear me?
Yes, you
Yes.
have
Hello? Yeah. I think the first thing that we should realize is that,
voice is a bit low. Yeah, you are very loud and clear.
yeah, I think the first thing we should realize is that health and safety is not something that we take serious in Ghana. Health and safety is so health and safety is the problem. Major problem is health and safety at the home, at the workplace, you name it. As you go to Ghana and you'll be shocked, but in the public you see things like it's just unbelievable from that personal level. And also in regard to this fight, I it happened to my cousin's wife, whose younger sister and brother at Osu in a similar situation got burned to death. So it's I think probably the structure of the buildings and not having the right equipment at home. It's also, if you come to London, you see the
Fire
everything
alarm.
is in place, fire alarm and all this oxygen stuff, and everything is there in place, and you have people, how they call it, officials trained on all these things. These
That's
things are lacking back home. And secondly, I think having 275 is it constituencies or so, and
Yeah.
every constituency you have is entitled to only one ambulance. One ambulance per a whole constituency. So it means, what if there is more than one incident of fire or one incident of emergency in the constituency? Which one will be given priority? If one is suspected of having a heart attack or one is suspected of dying from accident, which one will be given priority? So I think the government is not probably getting the priorities right. I think it's due to lack of investment, because you can't have. It's just a joke to have the whole country has 275 constituencies, and only one ambulance serves a constituency. So if you have a constituency of say 100,000 people or 200,000 people with one ambulance, and there's about 10 incidents, then it's more of a calamity. So I think it's a question of because for instance, if you a few years back, you
Yeah.
saw what happened in Camden, where people died because of, I think there was a gas or whatever. I
Yeah.
think the government got into the bottom of it, and the rest of there was cat lake and all those things. This
Yeah.
rubber cat lake caused fire, so all was dismantled from all kinds of our buildings. Had to go through it.
And
So
it became
the point is,
that
so you
became-
end up having
yeah.
so you end up having a situation whereby you have an inquiry and the government acting on it,
Yes.
so that there won't be a repeat.
Yes.
But back home, you have this thing happening, and it's people mourn, 9-day wonder, it's shelved, it's put back, and then it's going to be a repeat.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
think-
our problem.
Yeah, that's a massive point that you've raised there. The issue of the health and safety, which is
That is
very
a great
important,
point.
because as we all know, in this country, even at the workplace, you have your fire points and you have fire marshals. You are trained to be able to press the glass so that the alarm will go off within seconds. You see the fire service already coming, and even within the towns and cities across the UK, you have water points. Back home in the motherland, sometimes you have fire, and then if the fire service even manages to get there, is short of water to even apply the pump. So I think these are very pressing issues. Flagships and platforms like ours can be addressing. It shouldn't be the normal banter, political banters and all that. This is also part of politics, and we need to look at it and then try and find a holistic solution to that. Now, if it is true that 276 constituencies, and the population of
Right.
Ghana 275, and we have population hovering around, let's say, 35 million people. Okay, and 35 million people, and you only have 275 ambulances. This must be a joke.
It's a lottery. It's a lottery. It's a lottery. That's what it becomes. That is actually what it becomes. And there's no programs which are actually teaching health and safety. Health and safety should be taught from in the schools. Yeah, it should be taught from in the schools about health and safety. There's so many health and, as my brother said, there are so many health and safety issues. You can be walking down the road and fall into a hole. Yeah, manholes are not covered. There's so much danger just moving from A to B, and that's because the main population at school age coming up have not been taught anything about health and safety.
You're absolutely right.
So if you don't know nothing about health and safety, you cannot implement these things, because everywhere you look, there's a hazard. Everywhere you look, there's a hazard. Yeah, but if you teach people about health and safety and you put in place people who go around and check, because in England you've got the fire brigade goes around and checks buildings. Yeah, okay, right, especially buildings where people work, to make sure that building is operating in a safe manner, that you're not going to fall down the stairs because the stairs are the wrong kind of stairs what they've put in, or accidents do not happen. Fire alarms should be in every house. Yeah, and one fire engine or one ambulance for that, and for each, that is madness. You need at least 100. You need at least 100 in each one of those constituencies, okay, right, to be able to at least create some kind of security amongst the population, that if you call 999 or you dial 911 or whatever the number is, that you will at least get a response within at least a 30-minute or a 20-minute or whatever time span.
I mean, it's just amazing and shocking that there is a development back home in the motherland. I think we need to enforce it. At least we've got experience, we've lived through it, we've grown through it, and so we need to give back to the motherland. And these are some of the things that probably we can spearhead. You understand? Because what we tend to hear or know is that leadership tend to ignore, and yet budgets and monies are allocated to this very sector.
Exactly.
You know, so where does the money go? And then we have few rich people showcasing their wealth. And you know, I'm not saying that when somebody makes his money genuinely, we should take the person on and try and lambast the person. That is not the point I'm making. I'm just saying people who make money from that part of the world needs to be questioned where they got their money from. I think that should be one of the go on, you.
Sorry, I think the people who make their money from this part of the world, okay, right, especially these organizations and companies, they should have health and safety as part of their training of their staff, okay, and they should also have some kind of insurance, okay, for their staff, because out here, if you're working for a company, okay, and you have an accident within the company due to health and safety issues, okay, they sack you. They don't even pay your medical bills. They just sack you. Okay, and for the governments to be allowing this kind of behavior to go on, it shows very poor leadership.
I think it's very pathetic. Yeah, very, very pathetic.
It shows very poor leadership.
Yeah.
Because as a leader of any country, yeah, okay, right, you're supposed to put your people first. You're supposed to put the well-being of the most vulnerable people in your society first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is the elderly and the young. You're supposed to put that kind of thing first. And if you're not teaching the young people about health and safety, they will go out there and commit bad health and safety practices themselves in building or in whatever they're doing. They will have no health and safety involved in that. So you walk around and nobody's really aware of health and safety, to be honest with you, because they're not being taught it.
And so when we look across the health and safety, let me put it this way, the emergency sector,
Yeah.
all the way from the Coast Guards to policing to the ambulance service, even the hospitals, the emergency services, the fire, all that is negligible. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work because you can walk into a hospital and find at least 50 different health and safety issues within that same hospital.
I'll be surprised even there will be no fire alarm in the hospital, that 37 hospital facility.
There's probably ain't even going to be any hoses. There's probably not going to be any hoses in the hospital in case there was a fire even. You know
what is so sad? They allocate these budgets to these facilities or the sector minister to oversee these things, the improvements, and they tend to take the money and then they come out of office, they don't account for it. And it's been something that's been plaguing the Black African. And I think it's not fair. We need to start really taking some of these things seriously and really looking at a holistic solution. I mean, we need to look at this. This is about life. And like you rightly said, the vulnerable ones, the children and the elderly and the feeble and all that thing. Even look, disability in Africa. That's so sad. Disability. Nobody, even when you are disabled,
nobody doesn't care. Nobody cares because, like I said to you, it's not something. Listen, in order to have a society where people care, you have to teach that from school age, from baby age. You have to teach it. Right. And you see, with the government and these people who are in power, because the people do not unite and stand up and go and march against certain things they do not want. Yeah, okay, the government thinks it's okay, you don't care. You have to stand up, okay, and let your voice be heard. The same way you stand up and go and vote for somebody. Okay, if they're not doing right, you've got to stand up and make it known that you're not happy with the direction that they are taking you.
Yeah.
Because you the people, okay, right, own this country. Not the government. You the people own the country. But you cower behind the government instead of using your own voice, okay, right, to when you see that there's a problem, you've got to unite and say and march to the government and tell them. In England we have petitions. Carry petitions to the government.
And to consolidate,
the people are not happy.
Yeah, to consolidate to your point, I'm of the view that the civic education, I think we did mention it in one of our shows, the country has an institution called the civic education, specifically there to educate the publics about all these things, including governance and functioning of these institutions and their various departments. So there shouldn't be any excuse for the motherland to lack the services of the fire service, the ambulance, the coast guards, policing, and all that. So I think we've got a problem with the rule of law. Nobody cares about the rule of law. It doesn't work. It only works when they want it to work. So we need holistic solutions.
We need accountability. We need accountability from our politicians, okay, right? And we need to have some kind of instrument in place to remove them, okay, right, when they are not performing their duties or their jobs, because that is what we, the public, are paying them for. Remember, say we pay their wages. It's we who pay their wages.
That's very, very sad. I'm really saddened because that means that there's no respect to that actual life and humanity for the African. Because in your own motherland, there's no respect for fire safety, no respect for the ambulance, no respect for the policing. And so we need to fix it. My issue is, how do we get these holistic solutions because I think the solutions are there. I don't think they're that stupid. If you go into their manuscripts and all their guidance and all that, they have it all there. It's just that they don't implement it. Because the very money, like I'm saying, we need to look at these sector ministers who get the funding for the budget, whether the chief director or the minister, whatever they allocated to them in terms of finance to make sure they can be resourced and boost this, emergency services. We need to go deeper into it and try and resolve it, because I think they do get the money. The money goes to individual pockets, and that's a fact, because you cannot have 275 constituencies, over 35 million people, and you are telling me that a basic emergency service fire truck cannot be at a fire accident within 5, 10, 15 minutes? This is insane. Teddy, you've been quiet for a while.
Well, I think it seems we've all been saying the same thing, and it's been there for quite a while. It has become more of a convention. We've accepted it, just like corruption. We've accepted it. That we say, that's how it is. Because the point is, what has been done since we've had this. It's not a novel situation. It's not a one-off. It has happened too many times, especially in the outskirts of Accra. Is the west part, and the people that are vulnerable, so they are impotent to act. But we give these issues more importance in the urban areas. But I always say that Accra is not Ghana. You see stains of extreme poverty when you go outside the outskirts of Accra, where the people are so vulnerable, voiceless, nothing. It happens. Who is there to speak for them? That's a problem. Who is there? And
they're supposed to have MPs. They're supposed to have assemblymen. They're supposed to have representatives. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
They are more interested in infrastructure development, putting up toilets, libraries. These things are carry more weight for their political ambition than the well-being of the individual.
Even these infrastructures are important. They create jobs and also build the country and all that. I think they look at infrastructures because of how much they will get from their 20% from the contracts.
It's easy to put up infrastructure, but if you're putting up unsafe infrastructure, you're just putting up an accident waiting to happen. And that is what the problem is, because if you introduce new technologies into new buildings, okay, right? So fire alarms, sprinkler systems, and these kind of things, okay, right? Then eventually it will go around and it'll get around to the masses of the population. But we don't have any real building codes here. You don't have any building codes to say that a man has to put up sprinklers. If you're going to have a certain amount of people, you have to have escape routes. Yeah, you can put up iron bars, but there should be a way for you to be able to access quickly if you need to access to come out of those iron bars. Yeah, like I said to you, it's a very serious health and safety issue, and the people they have the power to change what's going on, but because they have very little belief in themselves as individuals. Yeah, okay, is why they do not take the steps to demand what they are entitled to and they're supposed to be getting.
Yeah.
The rich, even the rich. I tell you one thing that's also more serious. The rich build houses on areas which are not supposed to, and that's also an issue. For instance, you have where water is supposed to channel through when it rains, you have somebody putting his house there, so that becomes a blockade for the water to go to the exact area. So you realize that nothing works. Nothing just works.
No planning permission. You're supposed to have planning permission before you can build anything. And these are things what you're supposed to have in place, okay? And
they're only there on paper.
On a regular basis. Listen, we have to work for it. I know what you're saying for that, but I know that we have.
I tell you what,
if you have to make things happen, but we're not implementing that.
No, I tell you what, you have overzealous workers who know what they're doing. But the point is, if they keep raising these issues, you know what's going to happen to them? They'll be transferred from the urban area to the rural area. So they'll keep their mouth shut. even if they challenge the authorities, you have somebody who comes to the office, he has access to the corridors of power. All that he does is he picks the phone, speaks to the people at the top, and that guy will be told that follow what the boss says, not the instructions. If you don't toe the line, you're a public worker, they just transfer you to the raw area. And down there it's gonna be worse. You'll be there to your
T, what are some of the things we can do as a flagship and as a mouthpiece for the people? As a fourth estate, we are entrenched in the constitution as the media house to try and also bring things like this to the fore, or to the
give a voice to the people.
Yeah,
we have to give a voice to the people. Yeah,
I'm too much about.
So we have to.
I'm too much. At 68 years as a nation, I'm afraid I'm among the pessimists. I'm among the pessimists who I think I've lost hope, unless probably a new generation. Because the fact of the matter is, I always say it is not the political system. The systems, the laws are equally as good as any country, but those who go into governance have the wrong perception, the wrong mindset. They go in there with their own self-interest. So the point is, I always say, we are a reflection of our society. And I always give two scenarios. You have a lawyer who is eloquent, who can get criminals off the hook, and you have an accountant who can help his clients fill the books. If this lawyer becomes president, if the accountant becomes finance minister, what's going to happen? That's the problem. That's the problem.
Yeah. So basically, we are all identifying the underlying factors that makes this emergency services very, very, should I say, doesn't really work. So how do we resolve these various factors that we've identified?
Unless we are prepared, we or those at the top are prepared for a different mindset. Unless they want the law to work, unless they commit the offense, and unless the law goes, unless those people, unless the president ensures that those close to him who break the law suffer. So they'll be used as the human guinea pig, not those at the bottom. That's the whole thing. If those who have access to the corridor of power, if they transgress the law and are punished, then that is in the right direction, not those at the bottom. That's the only way out.
That shouldn't even be within the hands of the president. That should be within the hands of the judiciary. It should be within the hands of the law. Okay, right. If you break the law, okay, right, then you should be governed by the law. No matter who you are, you're not supposed to be above the law. Not even the president is supposed to be above the law.
I'm afraid that's how it is. I'm afraid there are those, as the saying goes, there are those above the law. They are those above the law in practice.
As long as we accept that, we as a nation could never grow. We could never grow as a nation.
So basically,
with that kind of issue.
Yeah. So I think we need to look at the reality. The reality is that the laws are there, but they don't work, basically. And they only allow the law to work if they want it to work. And these are people in the corridors of power. So we need to find a way, a means where we have everybody, nobody is above the law.
Okay. So the next election is in 4 years' time or 5 years' time, not true?
Well, basically,
the next election is in 4 or 5 years' time. So therefore, we either put pressure on the government is there now to make the change, or we create another party in this country of the young people and put young people into power and get rid of them old people, because the old people them is not doing anything to support the young people. Okay, and the young people is the future of this country, not the old people. Okay, and I feel that we
I see you shaking your head over there.
Yeah, we could and listen, to me, everything sounds wild and excessive, but to be honest with you, unless you give Because the young people want change. The young people want change. The old people are happy to sit back and say, "Oh, I'm 60 years old now. I can't fight anymore." You understand? So the young people are the ones who are growing up, who's going to have to suffer the way we leave the country now. And because the elder generation are not doing anything for the young people, it's better we create a party for the young people and take over the country and develop the country the way we want it to be developed for the young people. Because it's their future. It's not our future. It's never been our future. Our future come and gone. We're the elders, and we're not showing enough leadership or responsibility as elders, okay, to sit in that position anymore. Yeah, so therefore, we might as well let the young people come through. Most of the young people are more educated anyway than the elders.
Daddy, you wanted to come in, and I see you shaking your head a lot. Go on.
I'll go back and say the same thing. We are a reflection of our society. The young will easily be soaked in. The young, the legacy of the elders, if they leave a good legacy of discipline, hard work, and implementation of the law, the young will be learned. But what are the young seeing? The young are seeing
corruption.
The young are, wait a minute. No. The young are seeing there are few young people who are up there. What are they doing? Are they affecting change? They become part of the establishment. The young will just go in there 4 or 5 years. You see them in mansions. You see them with their cars. So the point is, they will say, "This guy, what's your name again, please? What's your name again?" String. Now, String, I see you up there. In 4 or 5 years, we are on the streets. In 4 or 5 years, you are there. I see you going on holidays. I see you taking your children to private schools abroad. I see you with a fleet of cars. And we're all together in the streets. Then now, me, Teddy here, I said, if String is doing the same thing, why not join him? So the issue of the youth, that is how it is. The youth will be soaked in. The youth are seeing them. They say, if we can't beat them, we join them. That is the prison. The youth will only make noise because they don't know anybody there. But the few who know people at the top are enjoying. I also enjoying. So you see some youth in flashy cars because they are giving some handouts. So they will go out there and talk. So for me, it should be a concerted effort. And we are able to we know what is good and we know what is good and we know what is bad. We know the law, we break the law, and we have people who will defend us. We have people, because we have access records of power. We know that, I've broken the law, but I'll know people out there who help me out.
Okay,
we keep talking about
Teddy, what holistic solution would you suggest we bring on the table?
I think only a change of attitude. That is only one. That's the only thing.
But how can a change of attitude come about?
Unless we accept that reality, that things are getting so bad that we have to change.
But
unless
it comes from education. How bad do you want it anymore? Yeah.
If you're not going to educate the young people, you're not going to educate the people, they're always going to be ignorant to what's going to go on, and they're always accept what's going on. You can't start at the top. The top is already corrupted, so you have to start at the bottom. Those who are not corrupted, you have to. In schools you have to teach a different thing. You have to teach a unification of a country from in the schools. You have to make the school children then grow up to be citizens of Ghana.
Let me tell you,
want the best for themselves. Yeah.
Let me tell you, when
elders already
a previous leader came with a revolution, thinking that things would change. Killed things like change. He felt that the killing and everything will wipe it out.
No. He did not kill.
No.
That is the wrong way.
Let me.
You have to put in a perspective. There was a revolution, and if you say who did he kill?
I'm on a revolution. The point is,
so you have to withdraw that way. He did not kill.
No. Let me finish. The perception was he wanted to eradicate those who were corrupt. But
Right.
the question is, did he succeed? Because eventually, his followers eventually, who were perceived to be clean, they became part of the elite. And today, those people are multimillionaires.
Yeah,
Those
by the way,
so the point is,
no, Teddy, let's get it right before we misinform and miseducate our audiences.
The reality is, he came to eradicate corruption. He thought by eradicating those elements who were corrupt, things will change. That was his perception.
No. Because the reason why I'm pinning you down, for the sake of the right information to go out there, we shouldn't just put things in a blanket way and make it look that he came and he killed people. Because now
I said he came with the view of eradicating the corrupt elements. By so doing, the perception was that
I'll let you go on, and then you made a statement of his followers, but don't forget that the revolution that took place was a reset for the country at that time for educational purposes. I mean, you can interject with me, TK and Screw G, if you feel that.
No. But the point, you agree with me that those people he started with are part of the elite today. Is it not true?
Yeah, but
yes.
Well, the point I want to make is that sometimes when we make a point and we make it, let me put it this way. I say, we entrench those points in such a way that it looks as if it is a fact, but it's a perception out there. But let me make a point that when you say he came and it is his people, but don't forget that this man came into the scene because there was abject poverty. Once again, the rich were becoming too rich, the poor were becoming too poor. The gap between the rich and the poor was, you can't even measure it. Let me make another point. The revolution happened, and the same people called him what? Junior Jesus, because they needed a salvation, and they felt that God has brought a savior. That is how the man was so revered. And you are very much aware that the military regime that was there had decided not to pay the debt of the IMF and the World Bank. So Ghana had been sanctioned. Okay? So your good friend Achampon, who brought the Operation Feed Yourself and all those things to try and get Ghanaians to grow their own products. Okay? There was a police coup to get rid of him. And the corruption was so bad. So when this revolution took place, it was a revolution that the people were yearning for and calling for. This man that you are referring to, who is J.J. Rawlings, was a messiah to many a million and to the people. It is fact. Look, this man came, Ghana didn't even have a cheat to even import paracetamol into the country. That's how bad the economy of Ghana was. Now, look at when he came. Nigeria also had oil. They deported millions of Ghanaians back to Ghana. These same revolutionaries, J.J. Rawlings, had to get these deported Ghanaians back into the fabric of society and into their homes. He had to even get the stadiums prepared to welcome these Ghanaians. He sent ships to bring them. Because earlier on, Ghana, under a right-wing government, did same to the Nigerians. You understand? Ghana deported, they call them, I think it was the aliens ordinance something. You understand? So when Nigeria also got oil and Ghanaians' economy was going down because Ghanaians had taken up Kwame Nkrumah, who would have really fixed the country in such a way that even the West would have been jealous of Ghana. So Ghana was going to the doldrums. So Ghanaians started going to the Nigerians, and the Nigerians said, okay, now we've got oil. You people are coming. We are going to deport you. They also deported Ghanaians. So it was a tit for tat issue. But sometimes when people are giving the narrative, they only give one side. I'm not talking about UTK. I'm talking general. The point I want to make here, for educational purposes and information purposes, where you feel I'm going wrong, you can come in. You know, we interject to get the information right. Now, this J.J. Rawlings went on his knees. You see what Ibrahim Traore was doing? That was what J.J. Rawlings did. He went to the farms, he carried cocoa bags, he was part of the system. There was even a girl that drowned in a well. The whole head of state dived into the well to get the girl out. Can we get any of our modern presidencies jumping into those wells? I can see Mahama jumping into the well. Neither Nana Akufo-Addo jumping into the well. No. Sometimes, if there's a revolution, we need to look at the pros and cons. Obviously, nobody is perfect. They will get their excesses. But that man was an upright man. And you know why I say that? He brought the country back to the level that discipline, got electricity around the whole country, brought water, those villages that don't have water, brought boreholes. The man did well. And then what did he do? Brought this fourth republic, this democracy we have now. It was under the man's leadership and regime that we brought back democracy to Ghana. Because he could have decided no. You understand? So the point I'm making is that let's not try and look at people because maybe we didn't benefit from the revolution, or probably I got hurt from the revolution, because Britain had a revolution as well. This House of Parliament, today, House of Commons, we see that whatever they say is power, they never used to have that power. The power was with the monarchy until the revolution came. And then everybody else started having voices.
That's right.
And even the revolution, they killed the king, King Charles II, they cut off his head. The family had to run to find out. So in revolutions, things happen.
Absolutely.
The president,
about the American Revolution, America not what it is today.
France had a revolution, 1917.
Civil War.
Russia had a revolution, 1917. So the point I'm making is that let's give glory to some of our heroes instead of we tend to look at it from an angle of just criticism, and bringing accusations which is unfounded, and it's a wild allegation. Rawlings never took a gun and shot anybody. Of course, during the revolution, some of the soldiers will be upset. Maybe somebody has a banter with somebody who use that revolutionary period to score, but it doesn't mean that, we should forget the sacrifices of what that Rawlings man did. Yeah. And when he sat on the throne for 8 years, after the revolution, we went democracy. After 2 terms, he left. He was voted into power. He served his 2 terms. He took the country into the World Bank because Ghana had nothing. Certain people in certain quarters were upset because they think he shouldn't have done the democracy. They wanted Ghana to go through the military like Ibrahim Traore is doing. You understand? But come on, advisors around him, he has to weigh when the democracy. Serve his 2 terms because people love him and he won. Of course, the opposition, some of them who abstained, and you know the normal opposition thing, some being paid by certain forces and superpowers and all that. Now, the opposition won. The opposition came into power for 8 years before that Rawlings party also came back to power, and then the opposition then came back to power again, who is Nana Akufo-Addo. You understand? And now Rawlings party has just won with almost 2/3 majority. So when we are telling a story, we should be able to pinpoint the real story. The generals that were actually shot at the military range was the regime and the law that looked into their cases. They were tried and they were found guilty.
And
by,
executed.
yes.
And that's
So
how it should
nobody
be.
to spin anything.
That's how it should be.
And we need to tell the story as it is. Because I've seen a lot of stories being thrown out there on the social media because one family or the other might be doing the wrong thing, got disciplined, so he doesn't like the man. You understand? And so they might be throwing the wrong information, misinformation, miseducation, propaganda, and all that. But thank God, some of us have conscience. That is the point I want to make.
I personally, I'm not against the elite of anything. You understand? Thank you, but at the end of the day, I'm not against people making money. But if you've got in place certain health and safety, and you're looking out for your people, they can't operate for long without them having to be pulled up. And that's the whole point what I'm dealing with. Because if you don't have things in place and you don't have people checking these things, then it can go out of control. It can go out of control. Yeah, we need to have these things being checked on a regular basis and have the right punishment in place for the crime.
Yes.
Yeah, because
all right.
to me, what's going on is a crime.
Yes, I think that, like you guys said, and sticking with the emergency services, it's good that we had interactions and looked at the immediate, because many people don't. They only talk about the story when an incident or an accident happens. Okay, but we have looked at it from its entirety, which is something good. And if we have to put forward a petition or a proposal or something, I think we have the right from here to do a draft, which probably this flagship and platform can be leading and put forward, because the Black and African lives do matter.
They do matter. 100% they matter.
And we need to change that negative rhetorics and image and branding of the Black man. And it starts now, and we can do it. Okay?
Accountability is what's needed.
Yes, and our people that are dying on the Mediterranean seas and all that should be a thing of the past. We've got a perfect arable lands. Anything you throw on the floor will grow. We don't have winter, so you can grow crops all around the year.
Yep.
So why should African be looking in that bad light? That people think African lives on trees. But sometimes the best homes and houses is in Africa. So let's round up. It's been an interesting show. Like I said, we are all about information, education, entertainment, and of course, enlightenment. So my good friend Teddy ran up with 2-3 minutes, and then G will run up, and then we'll bring the whole show to a close.
I'll bet to differ with you on the on what you raised, but I won't. We'll go into it later. You know,
you can touch on it. You can.
No, it's
touch on it. Touch on it.
Touch on it.
It will be others will who perceive JJ to be their hero, others who perceive him to be their villain. That's what I would say. Well, you can't have it both ways. But on a different note, yeah, I think
I think we need to have another show and look at this particular story, because that is what we are here for. Yes. So
we'll and also in regard to health and safety, it still boils down to the same old system, the application of law. Until we respect the law to the letter, we'll just be going around in circles. This incident will happen, and there will be mourning, and as to whether there will be an inquiry, the report will turn to dust. We've seen it because if for 68 years you can't be doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. We've been doing the same thing over and over, and we're getting the same consistent results. So we should know better. We should know better. That's the way I see it.
Okay, G.
Yeah, health and safety, it starts in schools. You have to start educating the younger population to accept no less than the best. And you have to stop educating them that we are poor, okay, because we are very, very rich. We are very, very rich, okay? And we have to stop saying, oh, it is Africa, and accepting the rubbish that we accept. Yeah, we all have the same rights as any other human being on this earth, yeah, to safety, okay? And we have to demand it from our governments. We have to stand up and we have to go and tell them physically, if it means that we have to go and tell them physically, because this is going to continue for the next 100, 200 years until we actually stand up and realize to ourselves at some stage in the past, we got it wrong. We have to change direction and move forward. Yeah, there ain't nothing which is written in stone that can't be changed.
Thank you so much, noble gentlemen, and I'm so grateful to have you on the show. I also like to add to what you guys have all said. Yes, we think nobody is above the law, and the rule of law must be respected. And if we can have the zero tolerance of the rule of law, including policing, and the judiciary can have the independency without interference of government, then I think we can see some changes coming through. And the leadership is also very vital, because if a fish will rot, it rots from the head. So the leadership can make a difference. And so let's be optimistic and pray that if those previous leaders haven't been able to do it, at least some of them tried, some of them even did it. Because when you look at Nkrumah's record, he did very well. And when he was overthrown, Ghana was reversed back more than 100 years. So on that note, and on today's topic, with the emergency service, from ambulance, fire service, coastal, and all policing and everything else, we'll have another show and we'll update our audiences the various petitions and proposals that we've written from the Voice of London Television and the flagship to the authorities to start putting things in place for our people to enjoy those facilities, because they are humans like anybody else on earth. On that note, I'll say thank you for sticking with us, and spread the word, and make sure you share, like, and subscribe. Another thank you goes to our sponsors as well. Top Connect, the biggest remittance services, and of course, just use them because their commission is just negligible commission. And want to thank Waterhouse Solicitors as well for all your civil and criminal litigation, including your immigration advocacy. They are there to take care of you. On the 19th of April, it's happening live in North London. Yes, the Gospel Jam of the Year with featuring Evelyn Hart will be taking place in North London. We'll give you the details, and it's free. So get your family members all to attend. Thank you so much once again. It's a pleasure.
Respect self, respect life, respect others, speak the truth, do the right thing. Out of here. Nice show, man.
See